All right, good morning, everybody. We are going live talking about mushrooms and potentially a little dabble of psychedelics with my great friend Todd Shapiro. And let's just check him out. He should be jumping on really soon. Funny story, Todd Shapiro is a professional radio host for most of his career, and he used to interview me. So now I'm going to interview him. Oh, wow, there's a lot of you guys requesting to be in the video. We're going to do a session like that where I just let anybody jump in. I recently saw Justin Bieber do this. Not that I'm anywhere near Justin Bieber, but it was really fun. You just let people jump into the convo. Hello, 56-V, Vekins, Mangesh, Life with Taya. I am Tickles. Here we go. Todd is in the house. Todd, can you hear me? Can you see me? Connecting. Oh, there he is.
How are you?
Hey, Todd.
What's up?
I was just telling everyone how the tables have turned. You're usually professionally interviewing me.
Yeah, definitely a big change, but it's kind of fun, right? Like, and I don't know if I'm going through a midlife crisis. You're too young for that, but you're.
No, I'm going through one too.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Where are you? Are you in Ontario?
Yeah, so we're in Muskoka, and despite some people being upset with city dwellers coming up to Muskoka, I have to be quite candid in saying that we are very blessed and fortunate to have built a place that just came to completion about 5-6 months ago. And with that being said, it's about 2.5-3 times the size of our condo in the city. So we sort of had already planned, my wife's on mat leave, to be up here for a great deal of time anyway, seeing as I'm not doing my show on Sirius XM anymore because I resigned from that. So it's interesting, and you know, one of the things, not to get off topic here, but there's definitely like some cottagers who are coming up, and I personally understand it. I've asked their local store, our corner store, where we get some of our food and supplies, and we do it very, very carefully and diligently. And I asked her, quite frankly, I'm like, am I taking too much? Is it okay? She's like, no, we're actually really happy. We've ordered extra food. We're making a little more money at this time, so thank you for supporting us. So that's my experience anyway. And, you know, I do get the plights, though, of some locals who say, you know, we don't want you taking up sort of the hospital beds and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, if something happens. Yeah. I can understand it, but then I can also understand there's more in a way because there's much space and room up there. You can do social distancing more effectively because you're on a bigger piece of land. The homes, like, you're not in a condo in like a really dense condominium in Toronto type thing or hotel. So I totally get it. I've heard other people who are renting cottages, like, God bless them, they can afford it still, some people, because their kids are out of school, they have nowhere to go. So, and they're not working really. So they're renting cottages and just kind of self-isolating up north so their kids can at least run around outside and they can play games and be in nature type thing. And
yeah, listen, that's true to us. Like, we have a 4.5-year-old and a 6-month-old now, and going for walks, not worrying, not having to go down an elevator shaft and maybe being a little nervous. And listen, we're just feeling very blessed. Most importantly, especially during this season, it's Easter, it's Passover. You know, I just hope that everyone's doing okay, and I don't want obviously anyone to get this illness. And it's a crazy little pandemic going on right now. Not little, big pandemic, and the world's different. There's going to be kind of the post-virus era, and originally was the pre-virus era. I think things are always going to be a little bit different, but humans find a way to adapt and overcome. I hope we can all unite together. Not to sound corny, but I really do.
I totally agree. And speaking of changes, so I always love it when important people, any people actually, it doesn't matter, but when people take important pivots, changes, inflection points, and I feel like you have done so. So you've been a professional radio host for most of your career, adult career. I'm sure you had some side hustles and whatnot, but now you've become the CEO of a psilocybin company, so magic mushrooms. Why the pivot? What caused it? I want to know.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. So as you know, I've been doing media for about 20 years. And I would say, really on a pretty high level, being a part of one of the biggest morning shows in the history that Canada's ever seen, and sort of growing up the ranks there. Then doing my own show where I structured it very uniquely, where I kind of own the content. I worked with my own clients to help pay the bills. And I really got this kind of entrepreneurial buzz as opposed to just being a radio show host. Almost the close of a client was almost more exciting to me than getting on air and putting on big names such as yourself onto the show.
Little name.
And on a very serious level, not to, you know, hopefully it doesn't like show a sign of weakness or vulnerability, but there's a lot of anxiety that came with that. And I just wasn't sure what the payoff for me would be 15, 20 years down the road, thinking of the future, thinking of my children. Was it worth it really putting in all my efforts into a radio show? Or could I maybe put, and you know me, I work very hard. I'm a hard worker. I'm confident in saying that, proud of it, quite frankly. And how can I sort of leverage my 20 years of experience, some sales experience, running a business, and also my connections to maybe do the next big thing? And psilocybin to me was always top of brain. I'd done a ton of research on it. Sadly, there was suicide in our family a couple of years ago. After researching it, I personally was under the belief that this is maybe something that could have helped that individual. And I really, quite frankly, just wanted to get involved in it in a much bigger way. And in order to do that, I sort of went out on this mission, created a company and did a big raise. And here I am today, having resigned from SiriusXM and moving forward with the business Redlight Holland.
And that's such an important thing you said, you know, as an entrepreneur, because even when you were running your radio show host, like company, media company, you're still an entrepreneur, but you're interviewing other entrepreneurs who are spending like their everyday building one asset into something that's a lot bigger, that's potentially sellable down the road, like you're thinking longer term. And I think that in these times where we have a little bit of room, a little bit of space, thinking a few moves ahead, thinking a few more years, thinking a few more decades is really, really important, and working backwards from there, because we get stuck in this like rat race thing where everything just is so myopic on what's going to happen in the next hour, in the next, like, just, it's so immediate, but we all need to take a step back. So let's switch the conversation a little bit here to psychedelics and mushrooms. We had this kind of 3 to 4 year bull run in cannabis, and some people made a lot of money, and then some people lost some money. And then came this little, I started seeing this little theme happen where there was these mushroom companies, psilocybin companies getting financed, psychedelic companies like Bruce Linton, formerly of Cannabis, MindMed. So there's like a bunch of companies coming up now. So is the market receptive to this? So take out COVID, like pre-COVID, has the market been receptive to these types of deals? What's been your experience?
Yeah, I think if you follow the stories of MindMed and Shroom, and even RBV is pivoted and doing a little bit of psilocybin deal. Revive Therapeutics, a smaller cap company with some great IP when it comes to cannabis. There is a very receptive nature for people being interested in this market, in the psychedelic market. And quite frankly, I think it's one that is important because unlike cannabis, there are I really believe that you're going to see incredible studies done and clinical trials done that are really going to truly help people with depression, with anxiety, with post-traumatic stress disorder. There's studies being shown right now through the FDA. They've sort of done some breakthrough studies that it helps Alzheimer's disease. So, it's not to say that cannabis can't have a big medical side, because we've seen that happen, but with what can happen, I believe, under some of the psychedelic sector, we're going to see some real big breakthroughs on the pharma side. And the other thing I like to tell people is I really believe the way we saw over the last couple of years, the youth protest against climate change and go on these big marches in Washington and really want to protect the planet. I think you're going to see a big protest from the youth when they can get outside again against big pharma. Someone's been affected by people within their family who sadly is maybe taken their life, maybe got addicted, lost jobs. And I think you're going to see people want a more natural approach. And fungi medicine, which is what I can talk about with Redlight Holland in a moment, is something that we truly believe in without being able to make true medical claims yet.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The impacts of whether it's psilocybin or some of these microdosing, LSD, ketamine, this kind of stuff, or ketamine treatments, they seem to have a bigger neurochemistry effect on the brain, meaning whatever their results, if they're positive or negative, they seem to be larger than what cannabis could do. So I was just reading Tim Ferriss, who's one of my mentors. You know, he wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, big entrepreneurial type of hustler guy. He was a proponent for Michael Pollan's book on how to change your mind, which is all about psychedelics and everything. He was posting about that yesterday on his social media. So like big names are getting into it. I know Steve Jobs used to kind of do some of this dosing to get a perspective on his life and career and what he should do and how he could change the world. So, and in Silicon Valley, this has been a huge thing, microdosing to get better perspective, more inspiration. So talk to me about Redlight Holland. Why Redlight Holland? Why is it called Redlight Holland? And what are you guys actually making?
Sounds good. First off, can you hear me? I've noticed a couple of comments saying it's difficult to hear me.
I can hear you, but you're blurry. You're kind of blurry. So I think you're in a awkward Wi-Fi spot.
Is that better? I don't know. My phone's a little
where you started off was better. Like where you started in your place. Yeah, that's starting to be better.
Is that a little better? Okay. I don't normally do a lot of these Instagram lives. So yeah, listen, Redlight Holland, we're playing off a little bit of the appeal of red light being a common name. Let's be honest about that. When people think of the Netherlands, some people, you know, in terms of tourist areas, Amsterdam is the most visited place in the EU for adults year after year after year. But with that being said, the one thing we really love about the Red Light District and what it stood for was ending stigmas. And ending stigmas in a big way through legalization and protection. And whatever industry you're in, that's sort of what we really want to get behind, especially when you look at some of these decriminalization movements you've seen, like in Portugal, where they use 90% of their funds into therapy, into helping, and 10% into policing, when it used to be the reverse. It was 90% into policing and 10% only into therapy and rehabilitation and stuff. So we're all about ending the stigma. That's what Red Light believes. And Red Light Holland is really an important company, we believe, on both fronts in terms of recreational and medical. So this is where we're going to kind of have a bigger umbrella, and it's going to fall into two divisions. So a lot of people don't necessarily know this, but under the legal framework and compliance, truffles, not mushrooms, are very legal in the Netherlands. So the truffle is the underground portion of the stem and then the mushroom cap. And in 2008, the Opium Act came into effect, and magic mushrooms were actually banned, but the truffle never was. And does the truffle have the same effect? So the truffle does have psilocybin in it. Typically, if you were to ask some of the true advocates and the pioneers who get this drug a lot more than I do, they would say that there's more of a consistent basis within a truffle and also a lower dose. So quite frankly, if you were to kind of take a truffle, you would sort of have a better idea of where, you know, your high might take you. And with that being said, one of the things that Red Light Holland really believes in and wants to get behind is not really getting, you know, crazy high, not getting, you know, all messed up. We really want to promote health. As we know, the microdose is one thing that is something that's talked about from Bay Street to Silicon Valley. And sorry, my kids are downstairs. I hope you don't hear them. And we really want to present a natural microdose. And if all goes according to plan for Red Light Holland, because we're diligently working on getting listed onto a Canadian exchange, and that's because our raise went right into a shell company, we believe that we can concretely state once we get listed, if we get listed, of course, that we will be the world's first ever publicly traded company that has a legal psilocybin product in the truffle, perhaps in a microdose version, on the shelves in smart shops and selling online in the Netherlands where it's legal.
So only in the Netherlands. Any other countries in Europe that it could be sold into?
So currently the Netherlands is the market that we're setting up our facility in, and that's where we're going to move forward in. And I can talk about the medical side too, and what we're doing and how we plan on growing our truffle. But with that being said, yes, there are other markets. Bulgaria is one. Brazil is a bigger one. Quite frankly, we do have Brazilian investors into our company as well that are looking to perhaps expand into that market. They're very connected from the cannabis scene. And also Jamaica to some extent. There's some gray laws in that area apparently that we're looking into. And those are sort of the main countries for now. But we do also firmly believe that stigmas are going to be ended. You're going to see movements being pushed, decriminalization movements, like in Denver, like what's going on in Chicago, in some areas of California. And we believe, much like the path of cannabis, that in controlled dosages, you're going to see psilocybin open up to many different markets. We really believe that will happen one day.
Well, I'm in BC, and there's a huge drug problem here that's been going on for decades, actually. And the sad thing is right now is because of COVID-19, they're having problems getting the drugs into the province. And so drug prices have skyrocketed. And these addicted people are now committing more petty crimes just to be able to pay for their drugs. But there's this whole movement to kind of decriminalize some of this drug use. We have safe injection centers here. So I think BC's trying to go after it more in the approach that you were describing, which is like help these people. They're addicts, you know, they're not criminals or pushed to criminality, but like they're not. So it's more of a holistic approach. Maybe psilocybin can be a way to kind of bridge some of these gaps. So I believe in it. What is it actually in a microdose scenario? What is the positive effect to someone's mind? Like, what does it, like, what are these Silicon Valley guys chasing exactly?
So I can tell you personally what it did to my mind. When I went to Holland, I microdosed the magic truffle. It wasn't sold that way, but I just sort of picked apart at it and took small pieces at a time. I say it was sold in like 20 to 30 grams. I would try to take a gram of truffle. I predicted that about 10% of that was a psilocybin aspect towards it, meaning sort of that natural microdose. And I can quite honestly tell you that it is an unbelievable experience in terms of slightly opening up your mind to living in the moment, to letting go of some fears, to letting go of, you know, when you get into overthinking, and also just sort of, you know, being a little bit, I think I consider myself a very creative guy as it is, but it allows you to have a great creativity too, great open thoughts, very positive feelings. And living in the moment is the one that I always like to say, and also being egoless, having no ego. So if you've ever experienced an opportunity to microdose with people and other people in a group setting, think of a dinner table, think of, you know, 8 people sitting around. There's kind of little conversations going on. You're trying to figure out who you drive with, who you don't. If you're all microdosing, I would go out on a limb and say you would really connect. You would have wonderful conversation. And it's not like you're getting drunk or drinking wine and then getting silly. You're just sort of exaggerating, like it's an exaggerated version of yourself in a very healthy way.
It sounds like it's almost like, you know, that mask that we all put on, our best foot forward. We want to look our best, sound our best. And that takes a lot of work, right? So if we let the mask down and we can be a bit more authentic at this dinner party, you're right, you can truly connect because you're not ashamed to talk about like your fears, your vulnerabilities, what you're excited about, like you're not afraid of that. So I think that sounds amazing, and maybe no hangover the next day too.
Yeah, in my experience, there was zero hangover. From a lot of studies that we're reading, there's zero addictive qualities to this drug as well. And, you know, we're really behind the legal side of it in the Netherlands. Again, that's going to be our goal for Redlight Holland, to have legal products on the shelf, perhaps even in Q3 of this year, which is a very exciting opportunity for us. And then as we set up our facility in the Netherlands, and we're in the midst of making some big announcements on in that realm too, we plan on growing what we think would be the first ever clean room, one day hopefully EU GMP certified truffle, because a bigger part of our business for Redlight Holland, because we so believe in the medical side, and this would be under Redlight Health's division, is to sell our EU GMP, if certified one day, truffle to these clinical trials. Because we believe, want to test the whole entourage, the whole fungi approach, not just a molecule, not just a little, you know, not just synthetic drugs. That we would be in a non-synthetic natural substance to test that one day can hopefully prove out all these wonderful claims that were being heard about what psilocybin can do for people.
That's fantastic. So now we're going to move into our lightning round. And
okay, if you don't mind, I want to add one thing, because it's really exciting for us. And I actually haven't shared this publicly anywhere yet. We did close on $4 million raised for Redlight Holland. We have incredible investors, very strategic investors, from Bruce Linton, who's you know, invested in our company, and actually you know, he's really helping me, just, you know, me picking his brain and running this business. Guys like Kieran Sidhu from Halo Labs. We have great investors such as, you know, Peter Kirby from Canaccord. So we have Ann Barnes, who's one of the founders of Peace Naturals. We have some of the biggest cannabis players in the space who really helped grow that industry. And not only that, we have active investors. I'm all about believing in people's strong suits and always being a sponge of information. As you know, I did 20 years of being radio, you know, being in radio and a high quality radio show host. Being the CEO of a company is a new venture for me, and I'm taking as much guidance and support as possible. And it's really exciting for me to be the face of it. And at the end of this, I really want to be I want to be the legal Pablo Escobar of the Netherlands. You know, that's my goal. So.
Well, I was going to say that I've always heard that the best two traits of a CEO is being able to hire good people around you and being able to raise money. So you've done the raising of the money, first go. So 4 million, congratulations in this market, especially after the cannabis space kind of collapsed. Those are a lot of the same investors. So it speaks to your ability, your contacts, your network, the asset, the vision. And then, yeah, hiring smart people around you. To be CEO of a company, you don't need to know how to do all these things. You just need to know how to hire people who know how to do these things. So awesome.
Yeah. I think Elon Musk said it best. He was like, I don't have a Harvard degree, but everyone I hire around me does. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like my favorite career coach, Dan Sullivan, always says, he says, it's not what, it's who. So a lot of entrepreneurs get scared because they're like, I don't know how to code. I don't know how to build networks. I don't know how to build the backbone of a technology company. Well, guess what? You don't have to. Like, you know, there's really smart people and talented people. And right now, labor, I don't mean to diminish it, but labor is cheap. There's a lot of there's smart ex-investment bankers sitting around. There's developers sitting around. Like there's people to hire very cost effectively right now. So, okay, let's move to the lightning round. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. And you're only allowed to answer like 1 answer per each, and no justification, just answer. Okay, so you have Todd Shapiro has $1 million today. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And you can only invest in either oil, gold, or Bitcoin. What are you going for?
I'm actually going oil.
Okay. If you could only hear 1 song for the rest of your life, what are you listening to?
Oh man. 1 song the rest of my life? I'm going, don't call me a softie. I'm going Fix You by Coldplay.
Okay.
It's so motivational.
Todd is going to have a shot of vodka with Elon Musk or a bong hit with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, I've already done a bong hit with Snoop Dogg, so I'm doing a shot of vodka with Elon Musk.
Oh my God.
True.
That's hilarious. Okay, Todd Shapiro has a new job. He is now CEO of TikTok, or he's CEO of Goldman Sachs.
I'm not qualified to be the CEO of Goldman Sachs. TikTok, being a social media influencer at one point in my life, I think that's something I can handle. And I think we're going to put our 4-year-old kid on TikTok doing Drake's new little slide dance thingy.
Oh, nice. And I was going to say, maybe you have some dance moves to share. The two of you could start off.
You don't want to see me dance. Maybe if I'm microdosing.
Number 1 thing that wise Todd today, if you could go back to say to young Todd 15 years ago, what would he say?
I would say that you should try to live your life without fear. I've always overthought things, and I've always kind of questioned my ability. And with age, you know, through a lot of hard work and a good support system around you, I think comes a lot of confidence. And it's not fake bullshit confidence. It's actually, you know, through that hard work and experience and learning and knowledge. And I probably had more of it in the day that I didn't give myself enough credit for.
That's an awesome answer. And you know what? Psilocybin might help with all that for the younger people out there. It might give you that opportunity to not overthink. Because think of all you can do with that extra energy if you're not overthinking. You can create.
You know what? And listen, again, I can't make health claims on this stuff, but in my own personal experience, it definitely allows you to open up your mind. And like I said, it's not about fake confidence because it's egoless. It just sort of gives you the ability to do what you do, and you're almost not concerned about what people are thinking. And in a way, you're also not concerned what you're thinking. You're just doing it because it's coming out of the natural goodness of your own heart, and something that you're qualified and can achieve very well. That's what humans are meant to do, is do what their passions lie and where their knowledge has provided them to go and gain more experience. That didn't make sense, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Okay, well, we're going to have to leave it there. It's been phenomenal talking to you. You and your family stay safe there, and enjoy your time, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for doing this and giving a little bit of a spotlight onto Redlight Hall. And we're very excited about announcements to come in the future. And it is a very, very interesting time right now. And most importantly, we hope that everybody is safe and is able to enjoy through Zoom or whatever their Passovers, their Easters. And, you know, ultimately, I hope we get back to, social gatherings as opposed to social distancing. You know, it's nothing like human energy around you and good people. So hopefully we can get back to that at some point.
Absolutely. Okay, bye, Todd.
Thank you.